Back in the late 19th century, the idea of ascending Mount Pilatus by rail seemed nothing but a dream. But the Pilatus Railway shows that dreams can become reality. It's the world's steepest cogwheel railway, built 125 years ago.
This is amazing. It's just so steep.
I trust these trains. I'm not too nervous about that. Just a little bit exciting.
The narrow gauge railway can handle inclines of up to a gradient of 48%, chugging up a 1,600-metre slope in just half an hour. Steering the railway is fairly simple, but the engine driver still has a tough job.
Maintaining concentration is a challenge, but you need to in case there's an animal on the tracks or something like that. Plus a 1,600-meter slope 5 or 6 times a day, that's hard work.
Back before the railway was built, there was already a hotel at the peak. It had about 3,000 guests each year, but they wanted more. That's when Edward Locher came up with the bold idea of a railway. To do that, the engineer devised a new system. A rack, or symmetrical bar, with its horizontal pinions, is engaged by 2 cogwheels that drive the locomotive and keep it from jumping off the track. Building it all was also a challenge. Many tons of material were hauled up the slope. Tunnels were excavated, but in just 400 days, the work was completed. The steam-powered railway made its first trip in June 1889. Soon, the number of visitors to the Pilatus soared.
Erstens brauchte man ziemlich viel Kohle.
First, you needed a lot of coal for the fire, and then the water had to be topped up along the way. So they had several stops to refill. It all took about an hour and a half, at about 4 kilometers an hour.
The line was converted to electricity in 1937. That was a worthwhile investment because it cut the travel time in half. By then, they had about 100,000 passengers a year. The same rail cars are still in use today, bringing passengers onto the top of the Pilatus and back down to Lake Lucerne. Meanwhile, the railway moves about 350,000 people a year, but it goes into hibernation in late fall.
When the weather's bad and it starts to get cold, the overhead lies can ice up. And then it's a real battle to make the climb, because you get intermittent power outages. And then because the slope is so steep, the rail car goes another 2 meters at most, and then it stops.
The original cogwheels are still in operation too. The entire system is checked carefully at the depot every day. There's not all that much wear and tear though, because Locher didn't skimp on material for his design. He was a forward-looking man in all sorts of ways.
We know the entire system cost just under 2 million originally. They stayed on budget too, which you can't take for granted nowadays. They kept the construction on budget and they stuck to their schedule. It's all pretty amazing, really.
But the new Locher system never caught on. Not long after it went into operation, cable railways took over. They were easier and cheaper to build. Still, even today, the Pilatus Railway is a marvel of engineering.